Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. This is a program we're calling it East Oakland Enterprises. The reason we're calling it East Oakland Enterprises is because we will eventually get back to Oakland sometime within the next few days, inshallah. And we got big work to do there. But what I want to clarify is something that they've been trying to use against us. And we let it slide, but there's necessity for what we call correcting mistaken ideas. Because in the late 60s, the early 70s, the government, through its arrest and its propaganda machine, had built a picture of me to the system, not to the people. Therefore, after a while, the system could do technically anything that it wanted to me based on the picture that they developed. For instance, when Imam Jamil was arrested down in Atlanta, all they kept bringing up was a Black Panther, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. They didn't mention about all the lives they saved and all the families they kept together in Atlanta and what have you, and how he's been constantly non-violent, non-aggressive, and the great work, they didn't mention that. Andy Young mentioned it one time, but he didn't dwell on it too long. He said, in fact, that the reason my daughter is there in that area is because it's a safe area. She's going to the university in Atlanta, and that's why I wanted her to stay in and around his community. Right. This is what Andy Young said. Okay, now, the things that we've been dealing with in Oakland, if you notice especially, we showed a little clip of Khadijah and Mukhtar has been on, and they have said certain things on the videos. I think last week she was talking about how did Imam Musa get away from all that time. He was supposed to do 50 years, and he was a drug dealer, and he did all this harm to the community, and he's always bragging about how he used to be a drug dealer and all of that. And what's so important about all of that? Okay, that's the picture that they've been presenting. Even Abdul-Malik was pushing that, lightly but not heavily. All they ever pushed was association with drugs and all of that, as though what they did then is what they trying to do now, is paint a picture of a one-dimensional person. It's just like whether it's the Zionists, when they talk about me, I'm some type of radical. They never talk about how they have nice deeds, how they help the people come by, they can get money, and how they have schools. They never even mention we have a school. They definitely ain't mentioned that we spent, let's say, in 10 years, $500,000 on it, over 400,000. I haven't added it up directly, but it's between 400,000 and 500,000. That's out of our pocket. That's not, that's not it. And the teachers, they didn't have a salary, but they had a stipend, which we called us, all right. Plus they got their government salary, so they were rolling in money, okay. They never mention that. Now, the point we want to make tonight is we have to correct mistaken ideas, because, okay, I'm going back to Oakland. You might wonder why I've been not stalling, but taking my time. Here's the main thing. Remember, twice I left Oakland, and I would be gone like this time, maybe 8 or 9 months. good God Almighty. I've been gone from Oakland 10 months this year. 10 months this year. And last year I was gone a whole year. So technically I'm absent from Oakland for 2 years. Is it because maybe Mukhtar scared me off or something like that? No. The first reason is that the way they were coming. They were trying to present a picture to their people. All the people that was there are their people. And if I'm responding, I'm talking to government agents. I'm not talking to any neighbor or friend of ours or nothing like that at all. So, that means the government could do, based on the picture that they painted of me, I'm a thief, I'm stealing money, I've oppressed the neighborhood, I'm a drug dealer, right? And some great discoveries that Khadijah had made that nobody else discovered, to find out how fake I was. Now, all the other people around the world, all they got is praises and thank yous and all of that. But she is so slick that she discovered that years ago, I was supposed to do 50 years for something. And I didn't do the 50 years, and it's because my father had connections with the, as she said, whatever she said, with the committee or the commissioner. They don't have no commissioner. They don't have no commissioner. They don't have no police commissioners. So anyway, that's what she's putting out. Maybe they thought if we fold, if we don't say anything, that's the thing that will stick. Okay, thank God we recorded everything that we said in private and all that. So they're going to have to verify why they said certain things. Okay, they did other things. Call the police would come. Many times you've seen the pictures, and either arrest me in our own property and all other kind of things of stealing monies. The list is just too long. So, why I call it East Oakland Enterprise? First, let us go back to the time what they was talking about, which they don't know nothing about. How I sold drugs to her mother, and because of that, they didn't have any food to eat. Does anybody remember that's what they, okay. Okay, if Khadijah's 40 years old, we opened a Masjid, we opened a Masjid in 1980. What is that, 37 years ago? Okay, and I was down with the other people, busy for 5 years before that. So I came back from overseas in late 73. So I had nothing to do with any drugs in Oakland since 1970 or maybe 71. You could say maybe 71, but I left the country in 71. Okay. Now, we might have shipped some blow back here, but blow in those days went to wealthy people. Poor people couldn't afford no cocaine in those days. All the pimps, all the hustlers, all the business people. Because 1 gram of cocaine cost $100. Or a spoon, whatever they call it, that was $100. Good God Almighty. But the way she was playing it, and if anybody want to see it, just check her out. She said Imam Musa was killing the community, selling drugs, and da-da-da-da-da. For that, we didn't eat. We didn't have school clothes. That's what she said. The only thing about it is, If Khadijah is 40 years old, 40 years ago, what would that be?
77.
77. I was in the U.S. Penitentiary, Leavenworth. Finishing up. No, I had just got out in 77. I was in the halfway house in 7. Yeah. Clean as a whistle. I came home as a Muslim. A functioning Muslim, a practicing Muslim, a praying Muslim. So, Khadijah was not born, was 5-10 years away from being born. She's 10 years away from being born when I was dealing drugs. And I wasn't dealing heroin. She was talking about like, see, because in those days, even if you look on all those arrests, it's all 11,530. That's marijuana stuff. 11,500 is heroin. He tried to set me up one time, 11,500. They threw that out. The dump police down in Central California. Me and my partner was riding through, and I-5 wasn't complete in those days, you know. So part that was complete, you'd have to go up somewhere, then drive over on 152, through some small towns, go way down to Bakersfield, and then jump back on 5 that was completed and go into LA. So driving through this little town, long story short, we stopped to get some gas outside of town, and the white boy must have called the police. By the time we left the gas station and drove a few blocks entering the town, it was the old-time sheriff's posse. Boy, and they rolled on us it was a real live sheriff's posse. They had cowboy boots and everything. So, and we had blow, and the white boy gave me something to smoke. It sure got you high. But whatever it was, it didn't show up when they tested it as marijuana. But they arrested us, and the guy rolled up my sleeves and said, yes, they called us dead to rights with over an ounce of blow. We was starting good, pure cocaine. They said it was heroin. It was heroin, and these are tracks, these stretch marks from lifting iron, you know. Yeah. I looked at my partner. I said, well, we're gone now. No, the first thing I said, I want to see a judge. The guy looked at me and said, I am the judge. I said, oh, no. Then we got to the Merced County Jail. And you know, it's somebody you haven't seen in years. And they brought us in, and that was a whole old homeboy, Bug Simpson. Hadn't seen him in years. I said, Bug, man, what's going on down here? He said, man, I've been here since I don't know when. I said, good God Almighty. I said, boy, we in trouble. You know, when they done busted us. Ice cold, but, so on that arrest thing, it says 11,500, like heroin. My lawyer came down, and he said, I wanted to see this, I want to see that. And what did the test show? They tested the cocaine for heroin, thank God. Think I'm going to say something? And they already wrote everything down, so my lawyer said, boy, you're the luckiest colored people in the world. And we just got up and we walked on out. And they said, what, they sold you some bunk? I said, whatever it is, thank God it wasn't none of my stuff. Because I'd been, you know, anyway, that's only one time it says 11,500, but it's thrown out. I'm going to get back to the real subject. The subject tonight is correcting mistaken ideas. because the mistaken ideas is what they were going to try to use against us. Right? Like they used, like all of those cases and everything, they could do that to you if they could say, you deserve to do that, you know. You're a bad guy. Right? So, if the Zionists, through their media, can paint me as some type of anti-human, which you've noticed if they try to get something, they'll pick out, if I say we love everybody 50 times, they won't show that. They'll show the Zionists, this, that, and other, which they are, of course. So what's happening with Oakland? Well, I want to clear up mistaken identities then and mistaken identity or now. First of all, the picture of me as a drug dealer in Oakland is a one-dimensional picture. It's a one-dimensional picture. And it may be, in the early years, 60% of the picture, but as time went on, it becomes less and less the reality. The reason we call this East Oakland Enterprise is because the government and the Negroes that are not aware try to paint a picture of drugs. And that's it. But that was only a part of the picture. That got things rolling. But we didn't only initiate drug dealing organizations in that region, we initiated economic enterprises. Young black people in their teens and early 20s starting businesses. That's what East Oakland Enterprises was. That's actually the name of our cooperation. From the late 60s, like 69 on, it was East Oakland Enterprises. That means that we did and helped start certain businesses. Like, for instance, I had 3 record shops, not one. One on 23rd, one on 47th Avenue and East 14th, and one on 85th, the main one on 85th Avenue. But also, everything from music. Now, they made a mistake and left this. This is from the newspaper right here. I think I might have showed y'all that before. It says, now you can look at me and you can tell I was real young right then. You know, I wasn't like 25 or 30. You can tell that I was almost a teenager. I was 22, maybe. What it says, Clarence Reeves, talent agent. This is in the newspaper. Not only was I a fashion, setting the fashion for, you know, black people and young people. Remember, black people needed pride. Remember, they needed pride and they needed confidence that they could do something. You see what I mean? They needed confidence that they could do something. So my stuff was so sharp, I got to design the Zionist tails and barbers. There wasn't no Zionist. Who knew about Zionists? But anyway,
can you make sure
he's the biggest Euro, huh?
Yeah, make sure they see that.
Yeah, he's the biggest Euro, and it says what I am. I'm a talent agent. That means we put on programs, shows all over town, and we got people rolling. You know what I mean? Like people that would have no access to any outlet for like some of our homeboys just standing on the street singing and rapping or whatever, right? We put them into something. Some of my partners, that was boxers, I even promoted boxing for them. I was just say, how much money it take for you to put on? I said, I don't need nothing back. If you give me something back, that's fine. Boxing. They don't say nothing about that. The thing about the business was, this was very important. Remember, in a black community, when you have people in their late teens and early 20s feeling confident to start businesses, this is what East Oakland Enterprises is. So we had more effect economically, socially, and every other way than we did on drugs. But they paint the picture of drugs. And then Khadijah was saying, why you always talking about drugs? I'm not always talking about drugs. They are. And also, any of our leaders that transitioned from something to the other, they talked about that Jahiliyyah. And Islam becomes a seller. That's why all around the world where I go, I show pictures of the dunya. That's what I did before. But Islam, I didn't say it here, is 50 times better. But I'm talking to my partners, I'm saying, well, you remember how nice what we was doing was? Yeah, man. I said, well, this is maybe just 50 times better or something like that. That's the only way I can relate to them. I said, this is at least 50 times better than the best of that. You see? So, they misrepresented in those days our image. And also, the hadith says that those who were good or something other than the dunya will be the same way in the deen when they get knowledge of religion. Okay. Malcolm was a burglar and stuff like that. Right? I mean, and Malcolm snorted up all his money. It's what he said in his book. They run around with girls and snorted up all their money. You know what I mean? Okay. So if Malcolm changes to the deen and gets big in accordance to what he was then, and in accordance to his knowledge of religion, I'm just going by hadith and history. Now, if in Jahiliyyah I was 50 times as big as Malcolm was, a minimum. We had businesses everywhere. We had shows. We had everything you could name. And I didn't consume too much drugs. I had a physical fitness, same one I got now, then. Right. And when he comes to religion, the first part is like we all did, it's a little backwards. But he had, let's call it 1 year of the Sunnah. And I've had 40 years, this is 40 round number. You know, all over the world, with everybody, right? So if we're just going by a hadith model, the best of you in the dunya will be the best in the deen once they get hooked up with their religion or knowledge of religion. Well, Malcolm didn't have time to get to deep knowledge. He did a wonderful job. But what he had, this is our role model. But we look at role models as somebody to catch in the past. Man, that's the fastest runner. But, I'm going to cut a few seconds off my stuff. I'm going to catch him. That's my homeboy. That's my hero. But I'm a track runner. I don't want to just run around the track and do okay because he's the hero. I want to break his record. He's my hero. That don't mean I don't like him. That means that's the rule. So years ago when we talked about Beyond Malcolm, some people, I was in one program, some people here talking about Beyond And the sister by here was telling me, Malcolm was this, that, and other. I said, I went to the same place as Malcolm was. Hey, they did this. I said, I know the biggest politicians in the world. You know, I mean, we hang around each other for the last 30, 40 years. I said, he visited them. I said, colonialism, I participated in the colonial struggle. He visited the colonial struggle and talked about it. But he didn't put no money in it. He didn't help nobody develop in it. He didn't, you know what I mean? So if we were equal as human beings, just normal Negroes, but in the dunya, I was 50 times as big as he was. And I have 40 times the Islamic experience and knowledge. I'm gonna, you know, it's just mathematical. So if we say, yeah, I did this in the dunya, but boy, the good days is this Islam. Islam is good for you. And I tell people all the time. But some people I talk to, I say, I know those bright lights that you're looking at. I said, but I understand them better than maybe most people in the world. And I'm telling you, what you got right here is better. That's always been our approach with Islam. So we're clearing up some information, the past, and I'll show you why we're clearing up the present. Okay. So I'm going back to Oakland. Okay. Now those people have been very bad people. Okay. Whatever they do, I have no idea what they're going to do. But I am a human being. Nobody have a right to assault me, insult me, or nothing else. I mean, I'm not going to resort to violence. But if people get funny with me, I'm going to use the same strategic stuff. If they get to acting a fool, if they pop up missing, it's the government did it. The reason I left there is because everything told me, from my feeling, right, of history and all this stuff, this was a setup. And they was getting ready. First, they want Mukhtar and them to trap me into a response. And they got everybody there, and it's like the one in '83. They're going to have a shootout, and everybody there with me is the police. And poor Imam, the newspaper will say, there's a shootout, and everybody got away, disappeared. Poor Imam. Musa from out in East Oakland got shot in the meantime. That's what it smelled like to me. And it smelled like to me, and if it smells like that, I'm going to act off what it smelled like, because history done pulled me out of a whole lot of engineered environmental things. A whole lot of them. So you can almost smell some of the stuff. So this one looked like they can't get me to do nothing. I'm not going to do anything. So the government got to get rid of Mukhtar and Abdul-Malik too. And a lot of those people, because they are known to be who they are. They threatened the whole snitch network in California. They threatened it. That's just the way it is. Okay? A little bit of heat on any of them. Anybody they put their finger on that was in Oakland is gonna divulge, They got to. That's the way human beings are. So, after about 3 or 4 years of that not working, when I was there the last time, when Khadijah called me, I'm up in the hills running. I said, okay, thank you. Usually I don't answer, but that time I answered. I ran on up the hill, down the hill, put my stuff in the car, and hit the road. I didn't call nobody. I said, because they getting ready to get rid of somebody. They can't trap me into nothing. So they're going to get rid of them niggas and blame it on me. The only way I'm gonna make sure is I'm gonna be so far away. That's why I keep all receipts and everything. I went to a toll booth. I got them from decades ago. You know why? I got all of my receipts going to the store. I got all of that. I got all of that. 30, 40 years ago, so-and-so got killed in Seattle at 10:30. Well, it couldn't have been me. Hell, I was going through the bridge over here in D.C. and going up Route 50, right, at 2:55. And that happened 20 minutes, 3 hours different because of the time. Couldn't have been me. Couldn't have been me. I was at the grocery store. Here's what I bought. Right? Okay, I mean, I do that stuff now. Every time I go to a meter, I got all of my stuff because it says about time, where you was at a certain time. And I got notebooks, and I got everything, all that stuff, right? So the reason I left was because it was clear, and now I've talked about it a little bit, that they got to do something with it. Because the people have been behaving bad, and ain't nothing worked. Nothing worked. I ain't mad at them, I ain't cussing at them, I ain't packing no gun, and everybody's trying to give me guns. Long story. So, this one-dimensional person that they tried back in the 60s and early 70s allowed the government to do whatever they wanted to me, right? But now what we're going to do this time, we're going to debunk that one-dimensionalism about us right here. First thing they said, oh, Imam Musa stole money from the believers. Okay. First of all, nobody called here and asked nobody nothing. And our lectures on money, we're just giving one on 10% rule. That means we got $100,000, we were working toward $1 million. That $1 million, we're gonna help Imam Jamil, we're gonna help up in Detroit. We got people overseas. See, what they don't know is, first of all, the believers' money. We here, all of us, we collect money. I was talking to one of the brothers the other day that does pretty good business. He said, yeah, that's a good program y'all got. I said, right. We go out and get money from outside the community, and we bring it inside the community. That's why we can have a big party at Eid and eat all the food, the stuff. You got so much butter, it costs this much. You got vegetables that cost the fixings. Even for, if somebody help us doing iftar, we spent $70, $80 a day on stuff we chop up and put in the food. And they didn't help us, they did a good job. But we might spend $100 every day just on additives. That's why the food is so good, because you notice it's full of good stuff. You know what I mean? It ain't no junk in there. If you would have just dumped all that good stuff and mix it up and put it in the oven for 2, it would taste good because it's all good stuff. Just season it a little, it would just be good. Okay, we go outside of the community.